Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. And man, I just realized that without my eyebrow gel, I look strangely like bald today with this makeup and that. But whatever, it's a chill day today. So as you can tell by this video, I'm going to do an AnyPlay recommendations video. Now, I'm not going to pull out every single book on this or go into like full recommendations for each book I'm going to show. We're going to do two things. I'm going to go over what AnyPlay is, because there are still lots and lots of people who, whenever I mention AnyPlay, they're like, oh, what is that? There's people who don't want to use Audible. There's people who are perfectly fine with Audible, or they have Hoopla, or they have Libby, or they have whatever way they're getting audiobooks. But I wanted to give you an option of something different and something that is actually unlimited audiobooks. This is tested. I can prove it. It definitely has its like pros and cons, so we'll get into that. And then once I go over all that, I'm going to list some authors and books that I personally have listened to using AnyPlay over the past 2 years. I think I've been using it since early 2021 is when I was made aware of it. And again, there are some ups and downs with this, so I can understand if people don't want to try it, but there are a lot of gems that are on this, and the more people that are using AnyPlay, the more capital they're able to have, the more books they're able to get onto their platform, and the more that they give people an option different than Amazon. I have always just liked having lots of options to choose from. It's never necessarily for me been go against big business, although I do support small business. I definitely don't want places to have monopoly, but I'll be honest that it's not the first thing that I think about when I'm budgeting or when I'm making sure that I can get my hands on the books that I want. I mean, I'll just be transparent. I could definitely be more conscious about that than I am. And I never really had to be overly conscious because I'm lucky enough that I could have the ones I wanted. And for a good while there, like, I was fine with Audible, and I was someone who was able to use like Audible Escape before it was gone, and it was amazing. I could get all the romance books that I wanted. And then I usually just used my Audible credits for like the more popular books that weren't on the Audible Escape, or I just didn't do audiobooks as much. But once I started working from home because of the pandemic, and then also the jobs that I had after that, I was able to listen to audiobooks at work, and I was going through them sometimes more than I was reading anything else. Like, they were like my number one go-to. That has slowed down a little bit now that I work from home doing content and stuff, which I've shared about. Like, I don't always have an audiobook going anymore. Anyway, whatever. The point is, it's still worth it for me. But I had used Scrib'd, which to me was not worth it because of the amount of books that I read, and I would get locked out of titles after listening to 2 or 3, like very quickly be locked out. So you get like 2 or 3 of Scrib'd. Now, again, Scrib'd has other things available, like there are ebooks and there are other things that make that worth it to some people. So this video is not dissing other things, and I'm not going to be comparing every single thing. I'm just telling you again about the ones that I've used and why AnyPlay is my favorite. So other people have made videos comparing. I talked about it in previous ones, but this one is more of like a promo for AnyPlay. Like, this is me telling you, check it out if you like the things I say. Anyway, so I'd used Audible, I'd tried Scrib'd, and again, like, it was okay. It would give me a little more access, but especially once we lost like Audible Escape, it just couldn't keep up at all. Then I did get Libby, and for the year of 2021, I did purchase the library card from, I think I did Boston Public Library. I think that's the one that I did, which gave me access to so many books, and you could have up to like 20 audiobooks checked out. You could be on the wait list for a certain amount. But they have ended that of being able to have a library card with them. And I know there's other places that I could get them from. So I definitely could do that because I do support libraries. They're amazing. But I was using that. I was mostly using that to get a hold of a lot of historical romances because a lot of historicals will be in libraries. It's really nice. But there's still a really long wait list for some books, especially if it's a newer one coming out, and I'm not the most patient person. But anyway, between Libby and Scrib'd and Audible, you know, I was paying for these 3 different ones. We know Audible is $14.99 and you get 1 credit, but you do get access to all of those like deals it gives you. That's honestly why I'll probably never get rid of my Audible, because when the sales happen, that is when Audible becomes absolutely worth it to me. And also when there is an ebook and you can get the Audible upgrade for $7, I like those as well. But the thing for me is that besides a select few audiobooks, I don't generally re-listen to many. Like, there are a few that are staples for me, but I don't generally go back. So I don't need to have them in my possession. Like, really the only books that I like need to buy them are the ones that I can't get them anywhere else. Like, they're an exclusive to Amazon because Amazon has a stranglehold. Or they're one that I know my sister or my friends will like, you know, so I have a lot of YA and fantasy books that my family loves and friends who share my account that I know having them purchased is good. Like, I have the Lord of the Rings, I have all the Harry Potter books, I have the Lunar Chronicles, I have, Illuminae Files, I have some of the Outlander books. Like, those are ones my friends borrow at different times as well. And then I was originally approached by one of the people who worked for AnyPlay. One of their social media people offered me a free trial to test them out and talk about them. Like, it wasn't a paid sponsorship. Besides, they gave me a 3-month free trial for them to use them. And I had never heard of them. I was like, oh, what is this? Do you have a lot of romance? And they were like, at that time, they were like, we have over 200,000 titles. And I was like, okay, I mean, if it's free, I'll check it out. And I immediately got very excited. And I started telling my friends about it, which I know is what they wanted. We'll continue through this journey a little bit. I'll tell you how much it costs and all that breakdown in just a minute. But they gave me a 3-month of it. And I immediately, you know, I went through... The first thing I did is I just went through my TBR list on Goodreads and I started looking up, and I was finding a lot of titles on there, so I was getting really excited. There's a lot of historicals on there, which is great. And then there are some more like very popular books, you know. So basically, as I've said, like, there are a lot of romance and indie authors who have to be exclusive with Amazon because Amazon gets a stranglehold. And I really loved that Brandon Sanderson was speaking up about this. He did this video talking about how, like, even when he was trying to go through indie publishers for his audiobook, they were all people who used Amazon and were just taking their cut out of after the cut that Amazon would do. So he found very few indie publishers that he could work with that were going to, like, be able to make this more affordable and be able to make it available to people who didn't have Audible, and then we're going to have to pay an exorbitant price, because that's the thing. If you don't have an Audible subscription, to get an audiobook sometimes is between $30 to $50, especially for Brandon Sanderson, who his books are chunky, you know, like they are many, many hours long of his books, right? So if you don't have an Audible credit, you're paying a lot of money for his book. And really, he's one of the few people who he has both independent and traditionally published and is a juggernaut. Like, let's be real. He's one of the most popular authors in the world. That is undisputable. He is so many things. And this isn't just like fanning his praises, but I'm glad that he was pointing it out, because there were some videos being made by people who are outside of romance, obviously, and I know this because I've read Brandon Sanderson's book in the past. I enjoy his content. Even, like, I listened to his podcast. I was just listening to intentionally blank before I did this. I just find him a fun, nerdy guy to listen to about a lot of topics. But there was people in the fantasy area making videos about it, and they're saying that, you know, like Daniel Green, his video that he made about, he has audiobooks and he was trying to see if there's a way he could be not just exclusive to Amazon, and he was shot down by his publishers that they were like, it would be inconceivable of us to do it without them. And that's because Daniel Green may be a big booktuber, but he's a small author right now. Like, he's small still. And it really only is someone like Brandon Sanderson who can start making the attention happen. So the thing with AnyPlay and why, like, I think they're so important is that AnyPlay makes deals directly with authors, like management and, you know, their small publishers, where they buy the rights to the books. This isn't just like leasing. This isn't just like a library. Like, they are buying the rights to the books. An author is getting paid for this. A lot of authors don't even know that these are being made for them, right? Because they're being made through their publishers. Like Juliette Cross, some of her books that she has through her indie publisher showed up on there, and I was like, Juliette, some of your books are here. And so she reached out to her agent, and she was like, yeah, it's one of the deals that they made for me. I'm getting paid for my books. Because I was like, are you getting paid? Is this a scam? Like, let me just make sure. So it wasn't something where they like asked her permission to do, because her books belong to her publisher. But in her royalty checks and what she's making, she's getting paid to have her books on there. This isn't a scam. This is, you know, in the same way that some books are showing up on Spotify. You know, when Neon God showed up on Spotify, people were like, oh, Katie, your book's being stolen. She was like, this is actually legit. My publishers are doing this through them. So this is a legit thing. The authors whose books are on there are getting paid, even if they might see it and not think that they are. Like, they have the rights for every book that they stream on there. And so this leads into a little bit of controversy and some things that happen. Again, I promise we're getting into the other details, but I just want to go through like my journey with them, because there was an issue like mid-year last year where AnyPlay stopped like uploading, and also their app disappeared from the Android store. It was still in the Apple store, but it disappeared from the Android store, or, you know, Google Play or whatever it is. It just was gone. And so I still had the app, but I didn't do an update and I didn't remove it. And there was no new titles being added, and we didn't know why. And like AnyPlay just went completely ghost on their socials. They already aren't super active. They are, I think they're headquartered in like Switzerland or something. So they aren't like headquartered here. Because any interactions I would have with the social media person would happen at weird hours of the night, just because they're in a different place than me. But Amazon actually claimed copyright on some of the books that AnyPlay has proof for. Like, they have the proof for every single book that's there that they are allowed to have it. And Amazon claimed copyright and said that they were stealing it. And Google, instead of hearing out AnyPlay and letting them show their receipts, you know, which this sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Like when an author's book gets claimed that someone else is selling it somewhere, and Amazon just yanks someone's book without telling them. And then it's up to the author to figure it out. Well, this happened to AnyPlay, the company. And so they were kicked out of the Android store. Had to spend money on like lawyers and on getting this fixed. And it took a few months. So there was a lot of people who, you know, they're like, I'm not getting anything new out of AnyPlay. It's glitching because they haven't been able to make updates on it. And it put them in a really tight spot. And so I had actually posted like updating my review to like a 1-star review. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You're still charging me my quarterly fee. What's happening? And I got a response from their social person who said to me, they're like, Amazon took us to court over this, or like whatever the thing, not to court. I'm sorry. I'm not a legal advice. Don't take it. But they were having to then like prove their rights to have these books like to Google, because Google wouldn't put them back in the App Store. They just took Amazon's word, right? And just wiped them out. And they weren't able to get back in or do any of the updates. So that lasted for a few months. And once I had heard from the person, I actually decided to keep my subscription. I did a little thing on TikTok because I had made a post about like what's happening here. And I was like, if you can afford to keep your subscription, because I understand if you're not getting something from them, you can't keep it. But like, if you can afford to keep it for the next time around, please do it, because they need this revenue to be coming in so that they can fight Amazon, so that they can be another place for authors to put their audiobooks that isn't Audible, right? So, okay, that was just a whole lot of stuff, but it's like Amazon does a lot of good by making things accessible and cheaper for us, but also they fuck over the little guys, right? Like, they don't want there to be any competition. They shouldn't be able to have a monopoly on things like this, but they can. And these are ways that they can do it. There's someone who is offering truly unlimited books, which we're going to get into it. I know, I'm sorry, I'm still talking about all of this stuff. And Amazon can't do that because it doesn't work that they can. They can't do that. Or don't want to do that. Or aren't paying their authors to do that. That's part of the thing, right? So yeah, it's it was a whole big thing. But they were able to get put back in there. They were able to make some updates, and there have been new books put on there, and we're back to go. Now, some of the other like cons still are, there are still updates that can be made to this. There are still some times where there's a book that you think is going to be available, or it's available when you add it, and then when you go to play it, like the file isn't there, because things do change with the books that they have access to quite often, and so that changes out. Also, there is currently a max listening speed of 1.75 on the app. I heard from someone who listens on their computer that they can go faster. I know not like any of us would do that. We're listening on our phone. But there is a max listening speed of 1.75 on your phone. And I know for quite a few people that's too fast, but also for a lot of people that's more than enough, right? Like I've shared this before. I purposely keep my listening speed between 1.6 and 1.9. You know, it depends. Sometimes you have a slower narrator. But for historicals, I usually listen at 1.5 because of the accents or things like that anyway. And I've purposely done that because I love AnyPlay and I don't want it to ever feel too slow for me. So I keep myself constrained so that I can enjoy this service. Because for me, you know, if you live in a place with a great library and like your Libby works, that's wonderful. For me, my library is not great. And so my options through Libby weren't like worth it to me. Like they just aren't. And that's why I had paid for another place's library card, right? But AnyPlay truly offers unlimited. Now their selection isn't as vast as Amazon, right? Like all books are going to show up on Amazon. However, there are a lot. And if you're a romance lover, there are a ton. If you even love other kinds of books too, like they usually have the newest things coming out. And you can feel good about the fact that it's going to the authors and to their publishers, not through Amazon first. And so that does mean if there are any Kindle Unlimited reads who have exclusive contracts with Amazon, you're not going to find their books really, you're not going to find their books on AnyPlay. There are some that I see them in both, so they must not have to have that exclusivity contract for some of them. Maybe they were able not to get it because some people are able to get out of it. And then any authors who like aren't part of Kindle Unlimited though, they're usually in here. I'm going to go through some of them in a minute. So yeah, some authors, like half of their list will be in AnyPlay and half of them won't. There it is. So anyway, there are some drawbacks to it, but in my opinion, there are drawbacks to pretty much every like platform that there are. You know, with Scrib'd, you're limited to a certain number. So this is best if you're a high volume listener. Let me be clear. This is best if you're a high volume listener. If you listen to, even if you listen to one a week or you listen to two a month, like it's going to be worth it. But if your one credit from Amazon or from Audible is enough, then don't worry about it. You're good. This isn't to like guilt you into this. This is just to give you another option because so many people haven't heard of AnyPlay. They don't advertise a ton. They put a lot of it into the books, into the app. But the more people who sign up for it, the more who get in on them, the more capital they're going to have to be able to get more books and to be able to improve those things. So that's kind of why I'm like pitching it. It's the thing where it's like you get in on the ground floor and you're there, right? So couple other things. What's the price? So the price for this, you start with a 7-day free trial, blah, blah, so you can get in and start looking around and all of that. Then there are two options for them. You can do monthly and it's $10 a month. It's $9.99 a month. Or you can pay quarterly, which is what I've done since I had my free 3-month trial I've done it. It's $8.50 a month for 3 months. So you'll pay for a season, you'll pay for a quarter, and it's $25.50. for 3 months worth of it, right? And that breaks down to $8.50. So those are the two options. You get a 7-day free trial and then you can do the $9.99 a month, or you can do $8.50 for 3 months and you pay all at once. But 3 months of it are still cheaper than 2 months of Audible, and it's unlimited. Like I'll put that back in there. So with those drawbacks, with those constraints, I hope you understand, again, it's not perfect. I do know this is international. I don't know if there's different books available in different countries. I actually don't know that, but I know that some of my international viewers use this. But yeah, AnyPlay FM. I'm sure I've put up what the app looks like by now or whatever. It's in the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. And yeah, you can download it and there you go. I have a lot less problems with glitching now, but it does still glitch sometimes. Sometimes I need to like force stop it or it will stay like running in my background. So those are just quirks I picked up, but honestly, they're so worth it to me because of the amount of listening that I can do. So now that I've spent 20 minutes explaining all of that, feel free to shoot your questions if you want, although it's probably best to like go to their fact page, go to their site, which of course I have linked down below for this. I don't have a code to sign up for them or anything. Like even when I did the free trial, they didn't give me like a code for people. They just wanted me to talk about it. And I'm not sponsored by them anymore or even that. Like I've been paying for this on my own for 2 years. I had 3 months free and then I've been paying for it this whole time. So some authors you can find on there. This is going off of like the last time I checked, which I had prepped this video like before, like a little bit ago. There've been other things coming up that I had to film. But these are all books or authors that I've seen. So like I said, I'm not going to necessarily like recommend the books. I'm just going to tell you some authors that show up here. And then you can go check it out for yourself. Okay. So specifically recently, some books that I binged through so quickly was the Fae Guardian series by Lana Pecherczyk that I've brought up a lot. The first 5 of these books are available on there. I think she does have an Amazon exclusive for a certain amount of time. So books 6 and 7 I bought on Audible to listen to, but the first 5 show up on here. Elisa Braden, I think, I can't remember if it's both of her series or if it's just the Midnight in Scotland series, but for sure some of her books show up here. I know because I listened to those there. Grace Callaway, I'm pretty sure her entire backlist is on there. I listened to the Mayhem and Mayfair series through AnyPlay. I love using this for historicals. You'll see that as a lot of my list is historicals, which is fantastic. And then I'm going to listen to the next series that comes after Mayhem in Mayfair. I want to listen to that as well, but that's on there as well. Joanna Shupe, I think most all of her books are on there as well. And those get dropped on there pretty soon after release too. Like I think even the Fifth Avenue Rebels are on there. So absolutely is there. Golden Angel. Golden Angel is someone who doesn't ever have her books really in Kindle Unlimited at all, and pretty much all of her books that she has audios for are on there. So like her historicals that I really liked, those are all on there, as well as her contemporary BDSM. Sarah J Maas, the ACOTAR books, both the audiobooks for like the regular ones and the graphic audio of ACOTAR, ACOMAF, and the first part of ACO War is up there. They haven't gotten the license for the next 2 yet because that's exclusive to graphic audio and Audible for the beginning, but all of that was on there, which is great. But yeah, the entire ACOTAR series for the original audiobooks are all on there all the way through, which is great. The Outlander series, my sister's currently listening to it on AnyPlay right now. So if you'd like to listen to that whole series, it's all on there, which is fantastic. I've only listened to one of her books on audio, actually. I enjoy reading them and writing in them. But if you want to try the Outlander series and you think the audios would help you, this would be a great way to get them for pretty cheap, right? Anna Huang, I noticed that the first 2 books in the Twisted series were up there so far. So that's kind of cool. Hopefully she'll be getting the rest. Lisa Kleypas, pretty much every book by Lisa Kleypas. We'll say this. I'm listing specific people. Pretty much all of HarperCollins and Avon books are on there. So there you go. But I'm listing specific favorites. But pretty much all of Lisa Kleypas is up there that are her like newer works. So like the Ravenels. Sorry, I just forgot the name of everything. The Wallflowers, the Ravenels, the series. I just forgot what this is called too. Hathaways. The Hathaways, the Ravenels, the Wallflowers, and a bunch of her other books are all on there. I've listened to many, many of her books there. Tessa Dare, pretty sure her entire catalog is there as well. Kennedy Ryan, the Hoops series, and the Grip trilogy is on AnyPlay. That is actually how I read the Grip trilogy for the first time, was using AnyPlay, because I had been nervous to read those books, and when I saw they were on AnyPlay, I was like, we're doing it. So highly recommend. Juliette Cross, her books that are owned by, I think she's with Entangled, I can't remember. So her Demon series and the Vampire Blood series, which those audiobooks are still coming out, but I think the first 2 are there. And then yeah, her Demon series, which I haven't read any of those yet, those are also on AnyPlay. Those are all there. Fiona Cole, her Voyeur series is on there, so that's cool. Katee Robert, a lot of her books are on there. Not all of them, because some of hers don't have them, but like the newest ones, Dark Olympus, I think the Wicked Villains are on there too, and then some of her random other ones are there. So a lot of Katee Robert is there. Also, I'm just remembering some just sitting here too. Who else was on there that I just saw? Oh, some of Zoe Draven's, I think. Maybe I'm making that one up. Maybe I shouldn't just spew stuff out, because now I can't remember. But someone just popped in my head and then it went away again. I can't remember. But I'm telling you, there's so many. These are just some that I've listened to using it. But again, like, you can look up them to see. I think the best way to look up, because sometimes it can be tough to, I should talk about that as like a little bit of a downside. Sometimes when you look up like an author, not every book by them comes up. So sometimes it's best to look by title, but you can also browse by author. But I have found that the best way to browse actually was on my desktop. You can totally do it on your phone. You'll be able to do that. But I just found it was easier when I was looking stuff up to just do it on my laptop and then add it to my like shelf and then download them to my phone is what I would do. So anyway, that is just a few that we ran through. Like I said, there are hundreds. I've listened to over 200 titles in the last 2 years using AnyPlay. It is an option to me that's worth it, like over Scrib'd, because it is unlimited. It is a Kindle Unlimited for audios. It is audios unlimited. Their choices might be limited sometimes, but there's no drawback. There's no, oh, you listened to 10 of these, that's too many. No. You can listen to as many as you want. You can have as many titles going as you want. You can download as many of them at a time as you want. There is no limit. None. Nada. Zilch. Zip. Nothing. Nothing that your library hold. Nothing that Scrib'd has. Nothing that anything has to stop you. You can literally listen to 50, 100 titles at once if you wanted me doing that, and there's no stopping you. So if you go through this and you see that there's enough titles that it's worth it for you, like if I've listed enough authors that it's worth it for you, please check them out. Check them out. Do the free trial. Listen to it on there. See if it's quirky. Like I said, I'm happy to ask questions. I do have some tips and tricks along the way, but I can't like think of them all right now. Again, I don't think they're perfect, but I think they're worth their money for the fact that it's giving us an alternative to Amazon, and also, you know, not causing a stranglehold to be able to be had. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more recommendation videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye.